Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Empowerment Through Encouragement. And what I'm bringing these on these Thursday mornings, gosh, I am catching up today. So today's Thursday. I might be a couple days behind, but anyway, the reason what I'm bringing these messages about and inspiring listeners to take advantage of is to understand that I'm bringing topics that people with ADD and ADHD deal with. Now, today I'm going to be talking about a topic that everybody's dealing with, but I want to be extra uh, aware of the depth of those with ADD, ADHD truly experience and at another level. I want to say that when I talk to people, they tell me that our experiences are transferable. And but another element, and it's not a crutch, it's not an excuse, it's not something, this is not about poor me. There's no pity parties here. It's just understanding that each one of us has dynamics about our life and about our experience that are unique to us. And as we can embrace that, then we can actually become more powerful and also utilize the gifts that we have. And I say that ADHD is a superpower. And once we learn how to use the tool, once we learn how to use our unique and uh, exceptional experience, then we can actually address the challenges and the opportunities. And I say that every problem is a platform for production. And our obstacles become our opportunities. And it's seeing through the lens in a different angle. It's seeing through the lens in a different light. It's kind of like looking through a kaleidoscope. Each one of us is going to see something a little bit different, a little shape that's different as we turn that wheel. And as I get into today's topic about connection, the power of connection, and why building a foundation for growth and focus. And this is going to be a two-part message because, and I call it a message. It's just a habit. But what I want to communicate is that each of us has an opportunity. And imagine for a moment when you have felt truly supported, truly felt seen, heard, embraced, and not for somebody just to answer a question or they have an answer already before you've even finished talking, but they've just allowed you to be. Not anything that you had to do, not anything because of what you had, but just who you were. And they just gave you this support. They listened, they observed, and they supported you. They stood beside you. Now, picture this in your own mind. Whether you've got AD or ADHD or not, I want you to imagine that time. And that person stood beside you. They didn't need to fix you because you're not broken, but they were there to remind you that you're capable of greatness. Now, I want you to think about a time when you felt alone, unsure, and maybe you didn't feel like you had a whole lot going on. Maybe you felt like everybody else, you had that FOMO, fear of missing out on opportunities and accepting just what was left over because that's what you thought. Now, sometimes that's a lot of what people with ADHD experience. So today I want to just explore what meaningful relationships can do. And they become the foundation of personal growth, focus, and empowerment. And here again, like I said, this is not just for those with ADHD, but I want to help other people that don't have this to have a greater understanding, maybe a different perspective of what a person with that something has something different, has a different experience. We all experience life the way that we see it. And as we understand it, then we can feel like, have you ever read a book where the author is just saying they've got it out on paper and you're going, that's me. They know my story. Well, that's my intention for the next couple weeks. And the reason is that supportive relationships aren't just comfort zones. They're essential for resilience and for growth. And for individuals with ADHD, these connections become anchors in chaos, and we all go through chaos. We all go through a chaotic time where it just doesn't seem like we should just go back to bed, right? And I'm saying don't go back to bed. um, as you work through whatever it is, you're going to find that it is actually going to be the building blocks and the foundation for what you're experiencing, what you're about to become, what you're about to come into. And I love butterflies. Here again, okay, I'm not trying to run all over, but there's a mess and there's a message in the mess. And if we try to eliminate that mess, that chaos, then we're going to find ourselves not experiencing the abundance that we could experience. And this is done through relationships. So without these strong relationships, the journey can seem very isolated, very overwhelming. And especially at the holiday times, there's a lot of overwhelm that takes place. I'm on a call every day with people, and one of the recurring themes is I just feel overwhelmed. And this isn't even during the holiday seasons. Now you compile that with the gatherings and who's got to go where and how many six dinners you got to attend, and who you're going to offend by not showing up and not getting all the cards out. How many of you have not gotten your cards out yet? Okay. All right. So there's still what is today, the 12th? So you still have 13 days before they have to be delivered. So you've got some time. So let it rest. But I want you to think back now in a moment when life felt heavy. Maybe it was a time when your ADD felt like a roadblock instead of a superpower. It's in these moments that the right connection, a friend, a mentor, a counselor, a coach, can make all the difference. And this is why, when we look at it that way, we see it as a lifeline, and it reminds us of our value. Even in the hardest of days, it helps us rise up above the circumstances or the situation, the present moment chaos. Sometimes it can feel like you're out there by yourself, and it's just a whirlwind. It's just a tumultuous time, and it's as we ruminate these thoughts, having that mentor, having that coach, having that person that you can be accountable with, and not for somebody to fix you. Again, here, it's not for somebody to fix you, but for somebody to come in and embrace you, just put their arm around you, not say a word. And you just know that you're not alone. And this is why establishing these relationships and these strong relationships is so vitally important, especially to those with ADHD. Now, why is that? I'm glad you asked. Well, the reason is because there's a lot of times we see ourselves so different than the world around us. It seems like everybody is able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and we're the only ones that still have them flipped upside down, and we can't make out what the picture is. And when we try to do it on our own, when we try to figure it out, as everything is figure outable, and we know that, but when you're in the middle of the mess, it's so difficult to see. And just having that trusted friend, that those friendships. And I tell my kids, and I tell people, if you've got a handful of true friendships, people who you could tell anything to, and there would be no judgment, that they would accept you completely without judgment, but not let you stay in that position, okay? Not let you continue to make those mistakes, but come beside you and embrace you and accept you for who you are and help you see the strength that you have. You are very fortunate in life. And when we can bear our armor, just remove it and just shed our intimate secrets, our thoughts with, those are true friends. And that's what establishing those early on can be beneficial. One of my best friends, we've been friends for over 40 years now. And it seems like just yesterday when we met, and it can pick up the phone and we can start a conversation at any time and can share almost anything. I mean, anything at any given moment. And there's no judgment. And it's that support. And it's that, thank you. I needed that. I needed you just to be able to hear that. So that's what the purpose of creating this supportive network. It's a network that serves as a safety zone, a safety net, so to speak. They offer you strength, perspective, and as the challenges arise. Now, why do I need perspective? Because we can't make all the mistakes by ourselves, and we think that we can, and then we think that we need to find all the answers by ourselves. And that's where the fallacy, that's where the we've been scammed in thinking that, I remember when I envisioned a 40-year-old when I was young, and I thought, oh my gosh, 40 years old, they're going to have all the answers. I can't wait till I'm 40. Then I'll have all the answers. And I got to be 40 and I go, wait a minute, what happened? And when I thought, well, maybe when it's 50. And when I got to be 50, I was like, wow, I'm still a kid inside. My mind is still running wild. And it wasn't childish, it was childlike. And so as I had these friends that I could confide in, and they built that bridge, that it helped me cross over those difficult times when it seems like the bridge is about ready to fall out. The friend from the other side said, hey, there's a boat coming, just hang on. You don't have to rush this. And they helped me through these terrains without failing and falling into an abyss of being alone. So why is it essential? Why is it so important to have these right people in the right circles? You ever walk into a room and you just felt like you connected? There wasn't even a word that was said, but you just connected. You knew you were with your people because they get you. They got you. And there's so much that people, young people especially, will say, I don't want to conform. Well, look at the way that they dress, look at the way that the music they listen to. They're conforming, but they're conforming on their terms. And as we appreciate that, then we have a better understanding of what's actually going on in the mind. So we all want to belong. Truly, we want to belong. We want acceptance. Even though we want independence, there is an interconnectedness, and it's having those right connections that they empower you to see possibilities beyond your own struggles. It's so hard to see outside of the jar when you're inside of it. It's hard to read the label when you're on the inside of the jar. And when you have other people that are around you, they can actually turn that jar just a little bit, and they can give you a different perspective. A different perspective from even 5 degrees will make all the difference in your life. And what happens is they begin to mirror your strengths because you provided encouragement at other times. And this becomes reciprocal, and it helps you grow to become your best self. Now, who should be part of your support system? Well, your support system should include people that listen without judgment, as I said earlier, and provide a constructive feedback, constructive structure. Doesn't mean I'm going to tell you, hey, do whatever you want. But what it means is I'm going to put my arm around you and say, let's think about this. What if you thought this through? And one of the questions that I ask people when I'm working with them, and they tell me that they don't know, like I said, I'll ask them a question. I'll say, so what do you think could be done? And they say, well, I don't know. And people that have worked with me, they will say, I know what you're going to say, but if you did know, what would I do? And then they start to give me the answers. And I have to put this great big smile on my face because they've been able to be transparent, to be vulnerable, and to be open because I'm not there to judge them. I'm not there to fix them. I'm just there to help them see in a different perspective. And it becomes their idea. And it becomes their idea. It's not that I'm right, it's that that's right. And that's what I love to hear. I love to hear when people say, that's right. So when I'm helping someone, when I'm working with someone, and I'm helping them to see the little element that they might be missing. And I say, well, what if that block wasn't there? What if that barrier wasn't there? What if that perceived missed opportunity was actually another open door for a greater opportunity? And with that feedback without judgment, it begins to inspire them and to move them forward. Now, this is where having a team comes in alignment because it aligns with your values and your goals. So when you share your goals, don't share them with everybody because not everybody can handle it. There's a lot of chickens in the world and you're an eagle. And now when I say that, there's a lot of people that want to keep you bound when you should be soaring, when you could be soaring, and having the right environment inspires you to take those actions to become your best self. And that's what it's all about. It's not about comparison, it's about being the person that you were designed to be. So how do you begin? By creating a strengthening and supporting network. Start by identifying some of the people in your life who bring positivity. Now think about it. We all have a negative Nelly. Every time we tell them something, they're pessimistic. They have all these reasons why it couldn't work. Well, you know what I like to say, and I can't remember who it was that said it. It will come to me maybe later on. But they said that being a pessimist takes no energy at all because it's easy not to take a side. They can just be a pessimist. They can be a skeptic. And it takes no energy, no research, no data to discover that. And what it did when I heard that the first time, when I read that the first time, I thought, you know what? That's absolutely right. Those people that want to bring my idea down makes me feel defective if I allow it. Now, here again, it's if I allow it. Now, with ADD, ADHD, I'm hyper focused, I'm always moving, and people don't understand that. And they're like, can't you just slow down? I remember I had a teacher that she tied me up to my chair. True story. Tied me up to my chair in my classroom. Fourth grade teacher. And this would be considered child abuse now, probably would have been then. But the idea was that she didn't understand me. And what we'll find in life is that people want to bind you to their patterns if you don't fit. And so it's having that support group, identifying those people who are already in your life, but they bring positivity. Make sure that they bring positivity. And then intentional steps to nurture those relationships and seek new ones, additional ones that have shared interest or values. Now, why do I do what I do? Because I went through a period of time in my life where people didn't understand me and they wanted me to conform to their pattern. They didn't appreciate the energy and the value that I brought. But then there was a man and there was a husband and wife team that appreciated the value of who I was. And what they did was they said, we're going to invest in you. And I've shared this before and I'll share it again. You know, my principal in the second grade, he said, enroll him in everything. He bought me a 2-year membership, not just a 1-year, but a 2-year membership to the YMCA. And this was in the early 70s. And he said, enroll him in everything because he has so much talent that we need to put him into everything to utilize the energy that he has. I will never forget that man. I remember the the amount of gratitude, and I didn't even understand the depth of it. But that man took a control in a positive way of channeling my energy. And what that did was it opened up a door to meet other people just like me, people that had greater interest in other things, and how it has inspired me to be an inspiration to other people. So, I want to tell you about a client that I have. I'm going to call her Emma. Okay, that's not her real name. In case she's watching, I don't want people going, "Oh gosh, that's you." So Emma came to me and she said, "I used to feel like I was always behind, procrastinating and doubting myself. And then I joined a study group. And at first I worried she was kind of hidden in the corner, had very no voice at all, just kind of came in behind the scenes. And I noticed her. And so I would ask her what her thought was, and she'd give a one word answer. And gradually she'd give a two-word answer, but she'd show up all these calls. And eventually she said, "You helped me find my voice." And now she was a leader in her own right, but now in a different group, she felt a little inhibited. And even in her group as a leader, she still felt there was some inhibition, and she couldn't really express herself because she saw herself differently. She saw herself thinking outside of the box. Well, as she began to engage in the conversations, she started smiling more, and then she started laughing, and then she started talking more, and then she started sharing more, and we collaborated. And then she started sharing the small wins, and the small wins became bigger wins. And then she took me up on an individual private coaching, and she then found her voice even more, and she began to appreciate the unique value that she brought to the table. And this wasn't about catching up. This was about having an accountability and about extending and meeting those challenges. And that's where that trusted friend, that trusted mentor, trusted coach comes in and helps you shine. And that's the truth. So, what are some things that you could do? I want to keep this fairly short, fairly simple. And so, what are some of the things that you can do? If you've got a paper and a pen, you know by now. If you've joined me before, you can go back and watch the recording. Um, you might want to take some notes. So here we go. What are some things you can do? Here's some actionable steps that you can do. Identify your circle. Write down 3 to 5 people who bring energy, encouragement, uplift you, and inspire you. And maybe they're not even close to you. Maybe it's an influencer. Maybe it's somebody that you just aspire to be like. Write down write down who they are. Write down why they inspire you, why you feel uplifted when you're around them. And then don't just make this about outside people, but think about some people, at least have a couple people on that list that you can have, that you could actually go and talk to, that you could actually share why you feel what you feel. Expand your reach. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is write down those 3 to 5 people, have a couple of them that you can go and talk to, share with them why they inspire you. And you're going to make their day. And you might be surprised to find out that they actually aspire to be like you. And you'll go, really? I just look up to you. And they may share the very same thing. It's amazing when we vocalize our experiences, how it comes back to us. So expand your reach, explore support groups, events, or online communities that are aligned with your values. You want to find people that have that value the same thing that you value, and maybe look outside the box differently, but they are not judgmental and definitely not skeptics and pessimists. Okay. You want to stay away from that. You don't want to feed that fire. Okay. Put that one out, light the fire that takes you to your next levels. Be intentional. Reach out to one person this week. Now, today's Thursday. I want to say over the next 7 days, reach out to one person and express a form of gratitude. Share a goal with them and maybe even ask for advice. What would you do if you were in this situation? What would you do if you had this opportunity? What would you look at? It's more than just what am I going to wear today? It's what am I going to do that's positive, that's going to move me closer to the goal or towards the mark, the crossing the road, that might push me out of my comfort zone, my comfort level, but I know that I could have your support doing. And then schedule regular check-ins. Now, this isn't a one and done. When I work with my clients, it is we have an accountability, and we meet every week, or we meet every 2 weeks on certain aspects. And why do we do this? Because if I leave them to their own, they'll only call me when the bridge has already fallen, when the building has collapsed, when the house is gone, and they're overwhelmed completely. So the regular check-ins help to build that back up. If something is about to break, you want to catch it, you want to intercept it before it's broken. And this is one of the key effects of having regular check-ins. Having this become a ritual. It's just my identity. It's just what I do. I have certain people that I call every week, and we chat. We don't just chat to chat. We chat to see how far are you moving the marker? What's one step that you've taken today? How can you nurture this relationship? And then set clear boundaries. Prioritize the relationships that bring positivity and growth, and let go of those that drain your energy. Look, there's a lot of people that want to suck the life out of you. Okay. Rid yourself of them. I heard a speaker, and I can't remember who it was. It's not important. But what he did was he put a message on his phone, and he actually worked with his dad, and his dad was super, super negative. If you can imagine, you got a very super positive person, you got a negative, overbearing parent. And what he did was he left a message on his phone, and he changed it. And the recording said this: "Hi, this is whoever, and I'm not able to answer my phone right now, but just to let you know, the reason I'm not able to answer my phone, because I'm doing things that inspire me. Now, I've also made the decision to remove negative people out of my life. If you're one of those negative people, I will not be calling you back." And he said that his dad's demeanor changed. Now, they worked in a business together. Now, talk about an uncomfortable situation that could be. And I'm sure I know of several parent-child businesses that's how it works. But he left this message, and the attitude of his dad changed immediately just by that simple message. And what he said was he wished he would have put that on his recording much sooner. So get rid of those negative people. Now, I want to share my own personal story. When I realized in my life as I got to be an adult, and beyond the principal that bought me the 2-year membership to the Y, and beyond the coaches that came beside me in gymnastics and diving and swimming, there came a point in my life when, I realized that I could not do it on my own. And I felt vulnerable. I felt like I should know more than I did. I mean, I'd had this experience. I had businesses. I started businesses. I moved around the country. I went to a different country and interviewed for work. And there came a point in my later 20s, early 30s, when I realized I could not do it on my own. 30, I wasn't going to have all the answers. 40, probably I wasn't going to have all the answers. And so I stepped into that discomfort, and I allowed my vulnerability and my transparency to reach out to a coach to help me refine what it is that I'm doing, and to help me see the things that I didn't see, because, sometimes we can see tunnel vision. And what that did was it refined my vision. They helped me see my strengths that I took them for granted. And they helped me focus my confidence. And I've always been a very confident person. And people that know me, people that have ever worked with me from all my life, they tell you that I'm probably one of the most confident people that they know. But there was something inside of me that, even behind that armor of confidence, there was something that was still being reserved. And as I began to be open with somebody who really came with me with no judgment, didn't see me as inferior, didn't see me as superior, saw me as an equal, and I really looked up to that person, it changed everything in my life. They showed me my potential. And this is the value of having a coach. This is the reason I'm bringing these topics to you, is not to get your business. I don't need your money, okay? But what I would like to do is help you get further faster, and get farther, and not have to do it alone, not have to scrape your knee every time, not take 1 step forward and 5 step backward without support. When you have somebody behind you, making that mistake is actually an opportunity. It's a setup for a comeback. Now, there's a cost of inaction. So imagine staying stuck in patterns that isolate you. Imagine staying stuck in that mindset that you got to do this all on your own without supportive connections. The weight of that is almost unbearable. The challenges are heavier. It makes it harder to focus. It really accentuates the ADHD, because we get hyper focused, and that hyper focus can actually be a positive and it can be a negative. If you know how to channel it, just like lightning can be a positive and a negative. We use the electricity that comes from the ground, but in the wrong manner. If it's not grounded, we know that people's houses have burned down because they didn't have a grounding. And, missed opportunities and increased self-doubt, burnout becomes inevitable. But you have the power to rewrite your story. It's not doing it by yourself. So I want to encourage you, as I bring this to a close. Number one, if you've gotten anything out of this episode, this podcast, share it with somebody you love. Share it with somebody you don't love. Let me do the deciding, and have them take the time to watch it and tell you, what did they like out of it? What did they enjoy out of it? What would they like to know more about? And I want you to as you share this, if you've enjoyed this, like it, share it, and then leave me a comment. Tell me what it is that made the difference. 1 point. If nothing made the difference, tell me. I've got thick skin. I can handle it. But what that does is it gives me the opportunity to see where I'm missing it. So I'm being vulnerable in this. So if you totally didn't like this and it totally bombed, tell me why it bombed. That gives me the opportunity to better myself. And maybe I'll bring a message that inspires you. I sometimes say, bring me your toughest client and let me show them what can be done, what possibilities and what probabilities are available. So it's about surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, building meaningful connections. And what I want to say is that every step towards that nurturing connection is a step towards growth and empowerment. So here's your challenge. Number one, take the steps that I offered earlier, the 3 to 5 people, reaching out to somebody else, having accountability, and then identify one person that encourages you. Share this podcast, leave a comment, and if you're so inclined, if you are up to the challenge, I'm going to suggest that you book a call. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in here and actually you can go right here to my website, 360lifewithoutlimits.com, and you can book a virtual coffee. It's a discovery call. There's nothing that's for sale. Now, why do I say that? It's because if I can add value to you, which I know that I can in that half an hour call, you're not broken and you don't need to be fixed, but maybe a different perspective for just a moment could make all the difference. So book a call. There's no credit card needed, and I'm not going to spam you with a bunch of junk. Just book a discovery call, half an hour virtual coffee, and let's have a chat. So until then, until we meet next week, I'm wanting to say have an outstanding week, and I'll see you on the next episode. Now,